Hey, do you want to build a stronger family, create a better life? Well, that's what Divorce with Heart is all about. It's a show where I guide you along your divorce and co-parenting journey using the heart's wisdom, intuition, and legal expertise. So sit back, take a deep breath, relax. My name is Gina DiPrima. Let's get started. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me again. This is episode 34. And since we're at the beginning of the new year, I want to continue on this theme that we started talking about last time, which is all about vision. And today I'm talking about how having the right vision when you're going through a breakup, when you're going through a divorce, when you're going through co-parenting challenges can make all the difference for you in terms of whether you're going to be fighting and having this tumultuous kind of relationship or not. So we're going to be talking about how you can use this idea of vision and having the right vision and cultivating the right vision to basically stop the fighting and start creating more peace for you, for your family, for your children, and really for everybody around you and that knows you. Because when you're a happier, more peaceful person, it's going to affect anybody that you interact with, right? So that's what we're going to continue on here today. And also I'm going to address some questions. There's been quite a few that have come through, and I apologize if I can't get to today. I will definitely get to you next time. So please keep the questions coming in, keep them rolling in. That's my goal, is to answer your questions on air. Usually, I'll try to hit about 2 or 3 per episode. So if you're a member of the Divorce with Heart Facebook group, there's a posting on there that shows you a phone number that you can call if you want to leave a voicemail for a question, or you can always just drop your question in there on a new thread or on one of the posts that's requesting basically your questions. And as always, if you could take the time to leave me a review. Reviews are so important because not only do they help with the show's, visibility and help other people just like you discover the show. Really, what your reviews do is they help me to know that I'm connecting with you. They help me to know that the information I'm providing is helpful, that it's resonating with you, and that, it's all making sense. And it kind of provides me some direction as well. And I do read every review. So if you could take the time to do that, in iTunes or wherever you're listening, if there's that capacity. I pretty much check the iTunes ones. Please do so, because that really just means so much to me. Like I said, and also subscribe. I've noticed lately that many people are asking, well, how do I find the show, or how do I hear the last episode? And this is coming from people in the Divorce with Heart Facebook group. So please know that all you need to do is subscribe. If you're listening in iTunes, just hit that subscribe button, and then every time a new one is released, you'll automatically get it. Google Play, I'm sure they have a similar function. Spotify, you just subscribe to the podcast so you get all of the new episodes as they're released, and the replays basically as they're released. So, again, thank you for listening. It means so much to me, and let's, just keep this going. We're all about trying to, be a new voice in this arena and change that old, icky, sticky paradigm of divorce that's been, present for, far too long. The one that's centered around fighting and conflict and I'm going to win and you're going to lose. And this is all about competition and, all of that really just, it destroys families and ruins lives. And I don't think it's necessary. And I can say that now as being a grown adult, having had parents who went through a very nasty divorce, so on that personal level, and as being an attorney practicing in this area now for a long time, and representing kids and parents alike. So that's the basic gist of the background. So let's jump in here when I'm talking about vision, and how is it that having the right vision can help you to stop fighting? Well, it's like I said when we were last together last week. Vision can be like your target. It can be like your anchor. It can be like your roadmap. I like to think of it like just like if you're lining up at the line to throw a dart and you're looking at that target down the line and you're trying to set yourself up, get the right aim. You're going to throw that dart and you're going to hit that target. Hopefully you'll hit the target. Maybe you'll hit the wall. I've hit the wall several times myself. But, you're going to keep on trying. And with every toss, you're going to get a little better, right? A little better, a little closer. Eventually, hopefully, you're going to hit that bullseye. That's what I think of when I think of vision. It's having this concept and this idea of what you ultimately want through your divorce. How do you want to experience it, right? What do you ultimately want in terms of your future co-parenting relationship? How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel on a day-to-day basis in your own skin as a parent, as a mother, as a father, as the former spouse? That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about vision. And when you take the time to set yourself up and kind of go through this self-reflection, press pause on your life, take the time, go inside, figure out exactly what your overall big picture is. And I don't mean just in terms of the tangible. And in fact, more importantly, I'm talking about the intangible. I'm talking about how do you want to feel, right? How do you want to feel? What do you want your energy to be like, right? What is it that you want to put out in the world for your family, for your kids, for yourself? When you can take the time to really explore that, it can make all the difference in the world. And it seems simple. It seems simple enough, but yet a lot of people don't do it. We're all just kind of going through the motions on autopilot, busy, doing what our lawyers tell us, doing what our friends tell us, doing what our neighbors tell us, our parents tell us. And it's kind of a shame, and it's putting yourself at a disadvantage because the person that you really need to get in touch with is yourself. It's yourself. It's your heart. It's your heart's wisdom. And it's getting back in touch with that part of you that knows 100% what you need, what is best for you and what is best for your growth, and then it's sticking to it. Not to say that input from others isn't helpful. Of course it can be helpful, but it's about knowing to balance the input from others against your own inner wisdom and your own alignment, right, to what your vision is, and making sure then that you are acting in that kind of way where your choices, your decisions, and your behaviors are designed to further your vision, to get you toward that goal, right? To help you to reach that bullseye, okay? And it can make all the difference because, again, if you don't take the time to kind of explore this on your own and you are just going through this on autopilot, well, then you're going to get caught up, or at least, you're more likely to get caught up. I don't like to talk in absolutes, and I know I sometimes have the tendency to say things like that, and it's not my intention. But you are definitely more likely to get caught up in the drama, to get caught up in the emotions, in the negative emotions, the anger, the hostility, the winner take all, the competition, the resentments, right? The lack of trust, the jealousy, all of this stuff that creeps up when you're going through a bad breakup. If you don't take the time to set your vision, that's where you're more likely to be. And then you're going to find yourself in this awful, contentious divorce or breakup or custody battle that's just going to drag on and on and on. Could be for years, really. It really, truly could be for years. Through in the system and out of the system and back in the system again. It could, if you don't set yourself up on the right path, it could shape the rest of your entire life. And I don't even mean just, until your children are 18. Some people think, wow, once my kids are 18, this will all be over with. No, because they're still your kids. Doesn't matter. You don't stop being a parent when your kids are 18. your ex-wife, your ex-husband doesn't stop being a parent when your kids are 18. It continues. It goes well past that. It goes well into your kids' adulthood. It goes well into your life when you are now a grandparent. I mean, so the energy that you set up and that you bring forward during your breakup and how you go through a divorce, it really does affect the rest of your life. And you can use it to transform and to grow and to rise above and to do things better. Or you can fall short, and just be on autopilot, caught up in the anger. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do. So I think really one of the first steps, and it's perfect because this is the beginning of the new year, one of the first steps is getting real with yourself and setting that vision, setting that vision of what your life, which is so important. You only get one chance. You only die once. That's just the way it is. So your life, make it what you want it to be. Feel the way that you want to feel, right? So when you have the vision and you know what you're going for, it's going to make it so much easier for you when there's some kind of negotiation or offer on the table, I should say. Let's just say, for example, with regard to child support, maybe there's some number on the table and you don't know whether it's a good number, a bad number, too low, too high. It's not exactly maybe what the statute says or what you feel you're quote unquote entitled to or what your right is. But if you have the right vision, it's going to make it so much easier for you to know how to respond to that offer, how to counter that offer, right? And same thing when you're talking about time with kids. Maybe there's a proposal on the table where the other parent is willing to agree to what you want, but yet they want one extra overnight or extended vacation period, or maybe they want to pick the children up from school instead of some other place. I mean, there's so many different variations of this. But the point I'm making is that when you know ultimately where you want to be, where you want to go, and what you want your experience to be for yourself and your children, it makes it easier for you to respond to whatever is on the table, right? And of course, what's so important is that if you are working with a lawyer, hopefully you've shared your vision with your lawyer so your lawyer can support you in this. Because, I'm not naive to the fact that sometimes there's a disconnect there. And that's where people also get thrown off track. And it can happen very easily if you don't have a lawyer that is sharing your vision with you. You've got to be on the same page here. Otherwise, you're ending up working against each other, right? And you don't want that. So when you take the time to, assess where you've been in your relationship, the things that have happened in the past, and most importantly, how you've contributed to it, then you can really start to set yourself up to say, okay, this is what's gone on, but this is what I'm no longer going to stand for, and this is how the future and the present is going to look. And you can start to outline that for yourself. And when you do that, it's like really there's an element of bravery and of being very courageous, because it really also means that you're taking a step and a stand to, in some ways, possibly wipe the slate clean. Wipe the slate clean, let yourself off the hook, let your partner, off the hook for some things and say, look, we're starting over and this is what got us here, but this isn't how we're going to live the rest of our days here. This isn't how we're going to continue to parent even though we're no longer together, Instead, we're going to do something better and greater. And just as an aside, I get this a lot from people when they kind of adopt this sort of philosophy and jump on some of the things that I'm talking about and what others are talking about in this space. I get a lot of this question or this resistance of, yeah, well, how do I know it's going to work? Or he or she isn't doing the same thing, or no matter what I do, they're doing this. And it's generally like the opposite, right? This kind of energy that's sort of like where you feel like you're being defeated, or maybe you're banging your head against the wall, or you're trying, but you're not seeing the results. And all I want to say to you is don't ever let that stop you. Don't ever, ever, ever let that stop you, because the results are there. They're there. You may not see it and recognize it and know it right in that moment and have it right in front of your face, but so much is going on behind the scenes. So much is going on that you can't possibly see. I mean, you're setting things into motion, right? You're creating an energy. And sometimes it does take time for the big result to reveal itself, but it doesn't mean that it isn't working. And if anything at all, it should be working for you, because the more peaceful you can make yourself, then the better your own individual experience should be. And at the end of the day, that's all you can control anyway. That's all you can control. So never let that stop you, okay? That's just as a little bit of an aside there. So when you adopt this philosophy and you take the time to set yourself up and know where you want to go and know what kind of relationship you want to create and how you want things to change, then you can start to see your breakup as this transformational process, right? You can start to see your breakup or your divorce more as this opportunity that I've often referred to it as. It's an opportunity for you to create a better future if you do it right. So it's very important that you have the vision, because if you look at it like you're creating your future, then this right now, what's happening right now, the decisions you're making, the choices you're making, the energy you're putting into it, and the little day-to-day stuff, that is building the foundation. That's the foundation for the future. So you can have your foundation be the past, and you can have your foundation be this horrible, disgusting, hostile, winner take all. I thought I hated you when the divorce started, but now I hate you even worse now. You can have that be your foundation. But what do you think your future is going to look like, right? What do you think it's going to look like? I mean, right? It's obvious. So that's what I'm talking about this. When I talk about, and the reason why the show is called Divorce with Heart, that's the point. We're talking about starting over, building a different foundation for a different future. We're talking about bringing in these, heart qualities of forgiveness, compromise, patience, compassion, things like that, back into the relationship. Because just because you're not together anymore, just because you're not in love anymore, and you've made a decision to separate, is no reason at all why you can't have these qualities and this energy still a part of your relationship. In fact, I'm going to tell you that it's essential, in my belief, it's essential that these qualities are still part of that relationship. Okay? And even if you don't have children, you might be saying to yourself, well, what's the big deal? I'm never, we don't have kids. We're done. I'm not going to see him again. He's not going to be part of my life. She's not going to be part of my life. We're going to move on, and that's it. True. That might be true, okay? But these qualities are still essential because they affect your personal well-being, and they will affect your relationship with yourself and who you are, which, of course, in turn will then have an impact of who you find yourself with in your next relationship and how it plays out there. So I hope you can see why this is so important. It's so important not to just go through on autopilot. It's so important to take that step back, like we talked about last week, and now to really dig in deep and come up with a vision for yourself. So you're not just on this kind of autopilot, track of destruction or, greed. I don't think I mentioned that, but that comes through a lot when people don't take the time to set a vision for a more peaceful, healthier, stronger family and self. Okay? So that's the point of it, right? If you take the time to do it, then you can zero in on it and you know how to move forward. And it'll help to guide you while you're going through the process. And aside from just looking at it and asking yourself those questions that we went through last week, really kind of gritting this plan for yourself, another step that is essential to not just creating or having or like figuring out that vision, it's committing to the vision. It's making a commitment to implement that vision in everything you do, in every aspect of your life, in every moment of every day. Now, bear in mind, nobody's perfect here, and you're going to make mistakes, no doubt, and you're not, going to be this perfectly peaceful, calm, patient, warrior of peace kind of person that I talk about all the time. God knows I'm not. Ask anybody that knows me, right? I'm human too, just like you. But it doesn't mean that you stop trying. You always try and you keep striving forward. So when I'm talking about commitment, all right, I'm talking about looking at whatever you believe your vision today and your vision to be and setting up a plan for yourself. How are you going to commit to this? And rituals are good for this. For me, I'll tell you what, I don't get out of bed. I do not get out of bed. I do not let my feet touch the ground until I reconnect with what it is that I believe my life is all about, what it is that I believe that I am, because my vision, I can say it in various different ways. It's one way when I'm, thinking about it in the world of business and career, and another way, maybe when I'm thinking about it in my world with my family. But at the end, even though I'm saying that them maybe with different language, different variations, the basis of both is the same. And for me, my vision is to create peace. Right? To create harmony, to create love, and to bring that forward in all that I do, which isn't always that easy. So every morning before I get out of bed, that's what I'm connecting into. I'm going to connect to that energy and remind myself of that. Every night before I go to bed, I review my day. But not just from a place of, okay, what happened today, and going through it and saying, oh, thank you, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, which I think is what can happen. But going through it and letting my mind also just wander with wherever it's going to go, and letting my heart wander with wherever it's going to go, being open to it. So starting with an event that happened in the morning, and then sometimes a simple question to ask is, well, how did I feel? Maybe it was just a simple exchange with somebody that you saw throughout your day. And you're like, okay, I saw so-and-so. We had a brief conversation. Well, how did I feel? I felt really cared for in that conversation. I really enjoyed it. I felt valuable, and I think I offered that. And then going on from there, that's just an example. But asking yourself, how did you feel? How did whatever event's coming to mind make you feel in that moment, I think is really key here, because it helps to bring you out of your head and into your heart and into your emotions and into your energy. And that's really where you want to be. And then allowing yourself to just, go forward, go with the flow of it, right? So those are two things I do to kind of make the commitment to my vision and bring it into my everyday life, okay? Other things that I do that I think you can do are, for example, if your vision is to have a more peaceful co-parenting relationship, well, look at yourself, look at some of the opportunities that you have for interacting with your co-parent. It's likely to be, exchange times, maybe when you're going to some sort of an event for your child. Maybe we've even got just like court coming up. The point is that there's something going on, right? And what you can do, and what I would encourage you to do, is before that event happens, before it even happens, again, you take the time to stop and anchor into what it is that you ultimately want, what your vision is. And you do that before you go and you pick up your son or your daughter. You do that before you go to the dance recital. You do that before your court appearance. And when you anchor into your vision, it's not don't be hung up on the details. For example, like say you're envisioning the pickup, and you've done it 100 times, so you can picture it real easily in your mind, right? And you might be kind of scripting in your head the things you're going to say, or the things you want him to say, or how you want your child to be. Don't be too stuck on the script or the details of it. But instead, as you're picturing it, maybe as you're visualizing it, remember who you want to be when you roll up. When you drive up to the meeting spot, who are you? What's the energy that you are bringing with you to that situation? And you should feel yourself being calm, relaxed, patient, at peace, and try to lock into that as much as you can. So when you get there, that's who you are. And then no matter what happens, you can reset and get yourself back into that, or at least be more likely to. And if you make a mistake, it doesn't go so well, you know what? Learn from it. Learn from it. Don't stop. Practice, practice, practice. Keep on doing these things, okay? Because it will work. Especially the more you do it, the easier it will get. It's just like anything, really, in life, right? For most of us, anyhow, I think that's how it is. So those are just some ideas of how you can take that second step and ask yourself, okay, well, how am I going to be committed to this vision? I've created this vision. Now I need to be committed to it. So how am I going to cultivate it in my life? And think about it also just from a very practical standpoint. You know yourself. You know yourself better than anybody else. So if you're the kind of person that gets stressed out when you're feeling rushed or rushing around, or if you're the kind of person that gets, a little more irritable or a little more angry, like when you're hungry and things like that, then set yourself up for success if you know that you've got an exchange coming up where you've got to pick up your son or daughter and you're going to see your ex, or if you know you've got a court appearance coming up. Set yourself up for success by, for example, doing the little things. Making sure you give yourself more than enough time so that you can show up relaxed and not be extra stressed out because you were rushing from one appointment to the next, If you're the kind of person, like I said, with the whole hunger thing, make sure you have a snack. These are little things, but it's about taking care of yourself and your energy so that you can be there in the way that you want to be, in a way that is then committed to your vision, in a way that is working toward your vision and creating your vision, because it isn't going to happen automatically. It's not just going to poof, you see it, it's going to be there. No, it takes effort. It takes consistent effort every day and every moment, okay? And when you falter, it's okay. Again, we're all human. I'm human. We're all human. We make mistakes. So that's all right. Give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourself a hug. Take some time to reset. That's all it is. Just reset. Just go back to it. I'll tell you a little story that happened recently in my family where, I had this idea in my mind that we were going to be decorating the tree and it's going to be fun. And, my kids will stop arguing and fighting or bickering. If you've been listening for a while, I basically have 2 teenagers who are very close in age. So that's what's going on in my house. It's kind of normal, right? So I had this vision, though, of how I wanted it to be. Of course, I wanted it to be peaceful. I want everybody to get along. And I'll tell you what, I know that decorating together as a family was also something that was very important to my son, although, my daughter and my husband, it was less important to them, we'll say, right? Not that it wasn't important, but less of importance. So if you can see what happened here, I'm going to try to paint the picture for you. We get ready to start decorating. We're doing it. All of a sudden, my daughter, my son, they start bickering and arguing. Of course, I don't even know what it was about anymore, but it doesn't even matter. But in any event, my son got really triggered. He was really angry. He was, having a meltdown. He wanted nothing to do with it anymore. And if you can imagine, this whole idea of having this nice little moment quickly went down the drain, right? And there's kind of this tension now in the house. So he storms off. He's in his room. He's upset about it. And, of course, I had to give him his space, give him his time, and let him calm down. But in the time of doing that, I was talking to him again about, how did you see this unfolding? What is it that you wanted to happen here? And it was hard for him. He's really resisting because he's really angry right now. He didn't want to get into it with me. He didn't want to see what it was that he wanted. But he did. With some patience, he did. And he remembered how important it was for him that we were all coming together, that we were all happy, that we were decorating together. And just through the conversation, we were able to reset. And I was able to express to him, don't let whatever just happened affect what it is that you wanted and your vision here. You wanted this peaceful moment. I wanted this peaceful moment. We can sit here now together and we can ruminate over it and be upset and all of this kind of thing. Or we can get over it, right? We can get over ourselves. We can get over what happened and we can kind of reset the energy. And almost in a way, like I said, like wiping the slate clean. So going back out there and starting over again. And that's what we did. That's what we did. Just like that, together, he was able to calm down. He was able to calm his emotions. He remembered exactly how he saw it unfolding in the first place. He was able to relax into that, as was I. And, he came back downstairs. He joined the family. And no matter what happened, he stayed anchored into what he wanted. And another thing is that as I explained to him, is like, when you can take control of your energy and make that align to your vision, you have the ability to kind of emanate that and it'll affect others, right? Like when you throw a stone in a pond and you see the ripples and they ripple out and, the one ripple affects the next, you get it. So it's the same thing. So I was reminding him to just emanate that energy, emanate the light. Don't emanate your anger. Don't emanate your frustration. Emanate the light no matter what you're going to get from your sister, no matter what's going to happen. And to help him visualize this, I was like, she does something, you just stay in there and you throw light bombs at her, like a ball of light, and just watch that light hit her body and light her up. But have a good intention. I don't mean like balls of fire. I mean like, of healing, good vibes, of peace. And that's what he did. And I'll tell you what, that's what I mean. That's a quick example of resetting. I hope that makes sense to you. But that's what happened. And in the end, we were able to decorate. We got the tree up. Everything was great. And that's what you got to do. You just got to be able to reset. Okay? So, wow, I took a lot longer than I anticipated. I'm going to try to address questions. I was hoping to do a few. I'm going to talk probably kind of fast here. One question that came through, or a concern somebody was having, was about that cycle of grief. And I want to say that you might find yourself cycling through all of the stages of grief, because that's what it was. Is this normal? Is this not normal? When does it stop? And let me tell you, it's okay. It's totally normal, okay, to experience grief, because you are going through an extreme loss. Your life is changing. Life as you knew it is changing. And when you have a loss, you have grief. But I think what's important to remember here is that those 5 stages of grief that have become so popularized by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, it's grief, it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Those 5 stages, that whole concept and theory has really evolved over time, and it's kind of changed over time. And I will tell you that there's another leader in this field by the name of David Kessler. So if you're struggling with grieving, look him up on Google. And he's even worked with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross on this grief and the stages of grief and the concepts here. And he even says that those stages were never meant to just be these nice little perfect packages that you're supposed to fit your emotions into. And like, oh, you go through the first stage, then the second, the third, the fourth, like in this linear kind of fashion. That's not really how they were intended. And even now, it's evolved where the understanding has changed. The understanding is now one that you can cycle through these stages quickly, slowly, fast one day, slow the next day, and it's not a linear thing. That's the new thought. The new thinking on this is that you could go from depression to bargaining back down to denial, and you could do this all in the matter of a couple minutes. You could stay in one phase, we'll call it denial, for a day, a couple days, a few weeks, but it's more of like a thought by thought, moment by moment kind of thing, and it's very unique. It's unique to each person and situation and circumstance. So never feel like, well, I've already gotten past denial, so I should already be at acceptance. No, it just doesn't work like that. It's very circular, okay? And there's no right or wrong. So just give yourself the time and space to feel and to grieve. That's really the most important part of it. That's the most important part of this, is just giving yourself that time. And if you're angry and you're feeling angry, good. Feel the anger, because anger, it's a top level emotion. It's underneath that anger where the pain is. It's underneath that anger where the real opportunity is to heal. So get into it. Feel the anger. Don't stuff it away. It's okay if that's where you are. All right? Give yourself that opportunity. Okay? And don't rush yourself. So know that it's all right. And let's see, another question, and this is probably the last one that I'm going to answer here today. It came through from another listener wanting to know, how do you strike a balance between allowing kids to choose, for example, who they're going to sit with in the car, or let's see, dictate everything, and alternatively standing your ground and insisting that they respect your wishes and feelings? How do you strike that balance? Okay, I think I understand what's being asked here. And first I would say that, don't leave it to your kids to choose who they're going to sit with. If you're going somewhere, you're on the way to church, you're on your way to some event, or you're doing something, or you're meeting each other there, and you and your ex or your partner are both driving, don't leave it up to the kids, because it's just, again, it's another way of putting the kids in the middle. Don't leave it as a question that they have to decide, because if you do, you are more or less asking them to pick mom or dad. And let's just say it is your time or your day, but they want to drive with dad. Again, is it the end of the world? Is it the end of the world? What are you gaining by saying what are you gaining by saying, no, you've got to ride with me? No, you got to ride next to me. It's my day. No, you've got to sit with me at this recital. It's my day. What are you gaining? I don't think you're gaining what you think you might be gaining. I think that comes from more of a place of your ego and your own personal pride and your own personal feelings. But if your idea is to have more peace in your family and have harmony in your family, and kids that know that they are loved by mom and loved by dad equally, and they are respected, then I think the better option, quite honestly, is to just relax into it. If your kids want to drive with dad, so be it. If they want to drive with mom, so be it. If they want to sit next to mom, so be it. If the two of you can drive together and sit next to each other and have that not be an awfully uncomfortable situation, then you know what? More power to you. Try that too. So I hope that this episode was helpful. Again, I would just love so much if you could leave a review, reach out to me. That's what lets me know that you're listening, lets me know that this is making sense. And as always, if you've got a question, then let me know what it is, a show idea, let me know what it is. And I'm going to do my best to answer about 2 to 3 questions per show. So thank you. Have a great week, and we'll connect again soon. Find me on Facebook at Divorce with Heart. Keep listening. Thank you so much for joining me today. Come back next week and be sure to visit my website at deprimalaw.com to book a call, Or let's connect on Facebook at DiPrima Law, where you can join my group for more support. Please remember that the information shared is for general and entertainment purposes only, and that by calling in or messaging me, we are not creating an attorney-client relationship, and my advice is not intended to be legal advice. For specific legal advice, please contact a lawyer in your jurisdiction.
This show is brought to you by InflowRadio.com, the best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.